So let's look at the covering and the layers of the heart. Now, the wall of each chamber of the heart has 3 layers. The chambers of the heart has 3 layers. This layer is more developed in the ventricular myocardium. However, before we look at these layers, let's look at the covering of the heart. The covering of the heart is called the pericardium. So the pericardium covers the heart, and it is a double-layered sac that covers and protects the heart. So you can say that the covering of the heart is called the pericardium. And this pericardium can be divided into 2. We have the fibrous pericardium as well as the serous pericardium. Fibrous pericardium is tough and then inelastic in nature and prevents over distension of the heart. Actually, this is the outermost part of the pericardium, whereas the serous pericardium forms the inner part of the pericardium and is further divided into parietal pericardium and visceral pericardium. The parietal pericardium is in close contact with the fibrous pericardium, while the visceral pericardium is in close contact with the surface of the heart. So in a nutshell, pericardium comprises of the fibrous pericardium and serous pericardium, whereas serous pericardium is further divided into parietal pericardium and visceral pericardium. The one that is in contact with the fibrous pericardium is the parietal pericardium, while the visceral pericardium is in close contact with the cardiac muscle itself. So now if you blow a balloon and you put your hand in that balloon, now we take the balloon to represent the pericardium, and then the outer wall of that balloon will represent parietal pericardium, while the inner surface of the balloon will represent the visceral pericardium. Now the space between the inner and the outer represent the pericardial cavity. So if you want to understand how the heart is protected, you use this. Just blow a balloon and put your hand on it. The outer one corresponds with the parietal pericardium. The one that is close to your hand, we take the hand to represent the heart muscle itself. The one that is close to the hand represents the visceral pericardium, and the space between the outer and the inner represent the pericardial cavity. All right. So this is a transverse section of the heart muscle. So if you can see here, we have the parietal pericardium and the visceral pericardium. Don't forget that the parietal pericardium and visceral pericardium are subdivision of serous pericardium. So if you see that visceral pericardium very well, you see that it's close to the cardiac muscle compared to the parietal pericardium. All right, so let's look at the walls of the heart chambers. So the wall of the heart chambers has 3 layers. We have the epicardium, the myocardium, and the endocardium. The epicardium is the outermost layer of the heart chamber, and you will not be able to separate the visceral pericardium from the epicardium. So it is made up of mesothelium and connective tissue. The myocardium forms the middle layer of the heart chamber, and this is actually the cardiac muscle itself. So when you talk of the cardiac muscle, you can mention myocardium. So this forms the middle layer of the heart chambers, the myocardium. Now the next is the endocardium. The endocardium is the inner wall of the heart. The inner wall of the heart. So this makes the 3 layers: the epicardium, the myocardium, and the endocardium. Epicardium being the outer layer of the heart chamber, the myocardium the middle layer, which is the heart muscle itself, and then the endocardium the inner layer. So quickly, we look at the function of the heart. In our first class, we are looking at the function of the cardiovascular system, but here we are looking at the function of the heart particularly. So the heart functions by generating pressure to to produce a gradient that pushes blood through the vascular system. So the heart generates pressure. This pressure generated from the heart ensures that the blood is pushed out of the heart into the vascular system. The next function is that the heart regulates blood supply, and then it changes in contraction rate and force match blood delivery to metabolic needs. So when there is metabolic demand, the heart will ensure that it regulates blood supply to the body to match that metabolic need. The next function is that the heart plays important role in routing blood, ensuring one-way blood flow, and then separate the pulmonary and then the systemic circulation. Remember, we've already seen that the heart has different valves. And in our first lecture, we said that the important function of these heart valves is to ensure a unidirectional blood flow. So the heart helps in ensuring that there is a one-way blood flow and then also separate the pulmonary circulation from the systemic circulation because of the presence of heart valves. Alright, so this structure here shows you how the heart beats. Now you can see the heart valves from the left part of the heart. You see how the heart is beating, and then from the right part of the heart. Remember that valve in the right part of the heart is a tricuspid valve, whereas the one in the left part of the heart is the bicuspid valve. Now the cups that holds the tricuspid valve is 3. That is why the valve is called tricuspid. While the cups or the leaflet that holds the valve in the left part of the heart is just 2. That's why it's called the bicuspid valve. So when this valve closes, blood is not emptying into the ventricle, and when they open, blood leaves the atrium down into the ventricle. Alright, so that is the tricuspid valve. That is the what? The right ventricle. And then we have the bicuspid valve here, and this is the left ventricle.